welcome to Lifestyles of the Strange and Exotic Random Book Review. And this was literally a random pickup at the Will, which I think I paid maybe $1 for. And I had seen Secrets of Body Language. It was a National Geographic special, and they were watching like famous people and kind of how they hold themselves. And it was an interesting part of it where they were put Putin up against Bush, kind of more of how cultures kind of set themselves, and Putin's kind of doing this, jive walking and assertive leader type walk, and Bush is just sort of much more casual because we're pretty laid back here in the States. So it was kind of really interesting, different things that you're like, well, yeah, of course that makes sense. So I picked up Body Language Basics, and I'm thinking it's going to be like this long thesis of whatever. This is actually pretty interesting. I started reading the cover, and it goes, "Caution, the views expressed in this publication might trigger a higher level of cognitive reasoning. Avoid reading in darkness, as serious permanent vision problems can occur, such as, but not limited to, loss of vision. If reading while outdoors, wear sunblock. Do not read this book while operating a motor vehicle, any means of transport, such as, but not limited to, time travel machines." So when I read that, I'm like, okay, let's see that got me interested. I'm like, and this is after I bought it. It's just how to recognize and analyze subtle messages sent by someone's body, and it's operator's manual. It's really interesting. I mean, it's sort of a blend of what I was expecting in a humor book. I don't want the other notes. So yeah, it's very casually written. It's easy to read. But it goes into depth, and you really kind of stop to think, well, okay, I know somebody that kind of does that. It's like, okay, well, if my boss is doing, to be concerned, but if he's kind of like, there's like subtle hints that you don't really think about. And again, what the documentaries say, it's like most communication between our primate siblings there is like 92%. It's like the words are only this little smidgen, and then you can alter that, easy up to lie type of thing. So it's very, very interesting. It's like my notes here, it's like it's advice that you'd get from a good friend. It's like very, very casual, something that if your best friend wrote a book about it, that type of thing. And again, with the thing here, it goes, "Stare or glare? Which is it? If you can't read the visual clues of body language, you could lose a lot in translation. Body Language Basics makes you fluent in no time. Face facts. Learn how to tell if that smile reaches the eyes or if you're losing their attention. All about position. If you stand over a coworker during a discussion, what does that say? Combination platter. Once you master the basics, you can mix and match different physical and verbal techniques to improve your own body communication. Touch and go. Was that a brush against your arm a sign of attraction or clumsiness? Hone your skills and heat up the interaction with a special someone. Whether you're trying to get a read on a new client's willingness to make a deal or wondering if your date's turned down gaze indicates disinterest or coyness, Body Language Basics shows you how to get a better read on the subconscious signals people send your way. Originally came from Borders, and it's got a light sense of humor, being casually written. It's not silly. It's just very lighthearted. And it's, again, the advice they give is very easy to apply. Like if you're sitting in a meeting, and it's like with me, it's like I'm an introvert loner, like, get rid of rest of humanity, I'd be happy. So I'm not as bad as I was, but I have a large hamster ball that I like to cuddle in the middle of. So I'm more tendency to kind of shrink. So, but to be consciously aware, kind of, it makes sense. It's stuff that you kind of do, even for people like me. Let's see. And again, with my anxiety, that makes me kind of shrink. It's a bit more of an effort to kind of do something like that, which you kind of have to take into account when you're reading people's body language. They might not be lying. They might be get the hell away from me, or I need more space than some people. So but even still, you can kind of take some points to kind of push yourself beyond that. And this is written for the American audience. I haven't quite gotten to that point yet. I still got a like chapter to go where they're just now starting to go into what's like hand signals. This is like thumbs up, yay, but I think this means something not quite nice in Australia. So, what's standard and acceptable and what means something here. Like, here in the States, when you're kind of talking to pretty much anyone, you usually have like an arm's distance from one to the other. But in like Arab countries more, they're like right here in your face, where that's their cultural way they do things. It's not, like, but with here, if you're in somebody's face, you're probably going to get smacked. So there are differences wherever it is you go, and they do make a good point of saying if you're going to go to a foreign country, rein in your Americanism, because we sort of throw ourselves into people's faces, but it's not like acceptable like in Japan, where boisterous and they're much more reserved, so you kind of have to keep that in mind, where a handshake and a pat on the back would be no sweat here, but if you do that in like Japan, they might be like, oh great. Things to keep in mind. And again, there's a lot of different detail, and it starts with like the eyes and different parts of your face, and then kind of works with like the rest of your body, and especially if you've got kids or something, you want to figure out what the heck they're up to, the different signals they might be sending off, because they haven't trained themselves yet. So, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I think it's an entertaining read regardless. Very useful if you're in like a business social situation, even a social situation, if you want to figure out. It's useful if you have to deal with the rest of humanity. So, highly recommend this. This came from Borders. It was $12.95, but I got it at the Will for $1. And it is Body Language Basics by Shelley Hagen. Oh, has written 8 books, including the Everything Wedding book, the Everything Elopement book. She has also done freelance work and all this other stuff. I used to see those books all the time at a local store. Alrighty. Thank you for watching. I should do like strange body movements. God only knows the confused signals I give off. Do remember to comment, rate, share, and subscribe. There's always room for one more at the Strange and Exotic. Bye!